Absolute Batman issue 3, Scott Snyder writing with Nick Dragotta on the art. So, this has been a very interesting book so far, with Assassin Alfred and whatnot. This issue also fleshes out the backstory a little bit. We get more of those flashbacks with young Bruce and Selina. This is the first time we've actually really gotten to see Selina properly. I mean, she showed up at the end of the last issue, flashbacks, but that's kind of it. Like, she's been very notably absent. Like, she's been the one who's not been at the poker game in the present day stuff so far, hinting the big connection that Bruce and Selina have. And we also had the big cliffhanger of the Bat dump truck last issue, which is where the present day stuff starts off with. So, you know what, Snyder's Batman is something that, you know, I grew very wary of over his New 52 run, and every attempt that he had of like doing an all-star book or doing whatever.
This is very different though, isn't it?
Yeah, this is much better than all of those. This has been genuinely fascinating with every issue.
I think two things I want to get out of the way first. One, I actually didn't love this issue. I think it's the weakest issue of the three by a noticeable margin.
Oh, aye, go on.
But I was mostly on board with it. I'll get more to that specific as we go on. And just in terms of Snyder's Batman, I feel like this is what he wanted his all-star Batman to be. But he was never allowed, because it was still... It was still recognizably Batman, right? His all-star. It was recognizably just our Bruce, just slightly further on, slightly different, little tweaks here or there, but it was characterization. It was very much just a slightly darker Batman.
Yeah, I mean, because me and Matt talked about it, but it's, you know, this is a Batman who still has that harsh line. He does not kill, but he will chop off a limb. This Batman, whereas regular Batman wouldn't be doing that.
Yes, it's a very different Batman. And I will say, I do think this book and some of the other Absolute books are absolutely carried by the phenomenal art. I think Dragotta's fantastic. And I appreciate how different it actually is. Like, they really committed to being a different Batman, and I think that's what Snyder needed. Especially as Lacey, he must have written Batman well over 100 issues at this point.
Oh, easily, yeah.
Yeah, and I think he was like, and I probably like some of his Batman stuff more than you do, but he needed that fresh take, and I think this is truly a fresh take, and I'm kind of impressed that Snyder managed to do that, because I didn't know he had it in him when he had that much Batman experience still.
Yeah, I mean, just you know, revealing the mum was still alive. You know, Martha's still there at the end of issue 1. The weird friendship that he has with the villain. Me and Matt actually had a bit of a debate last time over something stupid, but the thing I was getting at was that this idea that, like, all these villains that he goes and has poker with, like, he uses them all. They're like windows into different parts of the city that he can kind of tap into. You know, he goes to Harvey to hear what's going on in the legal system. He goes to... But
is he actually friends with them or not? Is the question, right?
I think he is to an extent, but Matt was definitely leaning way more on the, oh no, this is like his support group, this is kind of sweet that he's friends, and I'm like, I mean, I think he is friends with them, but he is using them, like, they are like conduits into all these different areas.
I think the thing that makes it very noticeable that he is using them, as opposed, not to throw Matt under the bus when he's not here to defend himself, but for me, the thing that makes me fall more on your side is the fact that they didn't see him for months, right? That he wasn't showing up to the weekly poker game, but as soon as he needed stuff again, as soon as you know, things were ramping up and the situation was changing, that's when he shows back up for info.
Yeah, but you know, you've got this much harder edged Alfred who is begrudgingly coming to like him, but you know, and that's even a joke in this issue where he's like,
Alfred,
yeah, he's like, I hate Batman, and then 2 pages later, okay, I might love Batman. Like, you know, he's impressed with the ballsiness of him.
I think this took the Jeff Johns Earth 1 version of Batman. It took that Alfred and it turned it up to 11, because I think it's very clearly based on that specific version of Alfred. But it took that and it turned it up and kept him, you know, more active in the game. And obviously he doesn't have the relationship with the younger Bruce. This is fresh. I kind of love it.
Yeah.
Really the best thing about the book for me, outside the art, is Alfred.
Yeah, I like Alfred. I like how much darker this version of Gotham is. Like, the party animals just feel actually like a vicious, you know, group of characters. Like, Thomas Wayne's death being like basically a mass shooting incident is like really dark, but really sort of makes it fit into like the world today.
More current.
Yeah. So I don't know. There's a lot of things there that work. Obviously, there's a lot of fun elements to it as well, which is all this bat dump truck stuff where it actually transforms a little bit into a more mobile vehicle and goes faster.
And then he hits the nitro boost.
It's the nitro boost, and then also tricks Alfred into jettisoning himself out of the top of it as he goes into the water, and then just drives underwater because he's prepped for that. Yeah.
Man watched his Top Gear.
But obviously the main hook of this issue, though, other than maybe some of the heart-to-heart stuff where Selina's taking Bruce to watch Zorro and his friends end up showing up and the mum's watching on all heartfelt, the main thing is Alfred telling him, hey, the smart thing to do here is to make a deal with Black Mask, with Roman Sionis, right? Promise that you'll leave them alone if they stop going about killing people, and it'll put an end to everything. Batman can grow into something bigger, and we can take down Black Mask at a later date, the people I work for. And Batman's like, no. And obviously, in the regular DC universe, Batman is like, F you, I am never doing that. And this issue ends with him saying, I'll take the deal.
Yeah, and I think it's very intentional as the cliffhanger, because it leaves it up for debate as to whether or not he is taking the deal, which is believable because it's this other version of Batman, or if it is just a case of getting him further. It's a it's a bluff, right? He's just trying to get in.
Which it might very well be, yeah. I mean, yes. I think regular Batman wouldn't even make the bluff, though. I feel like regular Batman would...
I think the thing is, if regular Batman tried to make the bluff, no one would believe him.
Yeah.
Whereas I think this version, I appreciate that we do believe that at least, like right now, it's 50-50 as to whether or not that is genuine or not. And I think that's honestly quite big to have got to that point where within 3 issues, you can tell me that this version of Batman would take that deal, and I'd believe it.
And there's a few things that go into it, because it's not just the violence thing. They're also paying him, like, was it $10 million? And this is not a rich Bruce. This is a Bruce that is, working class.
Yeah, and there's a little bit behind the scenes in my head of like, well, maybe this is how he becomes more the Batman that we know with the money, right?
But there's also the idea that his mum is stepping up to be assistant mayor and putting herself in this spotlight where she could be a target for these villains. So he might feel this pressure to like get more resources so he can do more to protect her.
I think part of it as well is the idea is if he agrees to this, maybe it keeps her safe pretty more directly as well.
Yeah,
because
true,
they won't have to target her.
Yeah,
I do think, again, the cynic in me of looking at the gears of how do they make this slightly more Batman-y is he takes the deal and they still kill his mum anyway, and this is how he becomes orphaned now, right? It's different, but like it's just enough there that I can see maybe where this could go. I'd
probably go as far to argue to say that the idea of them stopping their attacks on political figures is probably his main motivation. Well, after that conversation with his mum, I think that's the final. If he was considering it before then, that was the moment that pushed him over the line. If he has agreed to do it, for
I agree.
Real.
And if we take it at face value that he has agreed to it and he is going to go through with this, I think the moment then is if they don't stop their attacks and they kill or injure his mum anyway, that's when he it's kind of like Batman Unleashed, right? I suppose.
Yeah, really interesting stuff. The stuff with the kids is mostly sweet, but it's just emphasizing this idea that Selina's the one that he has the most personal connection to. She's the one that really matters to him. And her absence is still felt. Like I love how they're building up to finally seeing her in present day, because it's like, oh, we've still not seen her. She's been notable by her absence, and that's actually quite powerful. So
yeah,
I think that's really cool. There's obviously some hints at one point. I don't remember what scene it was, but someone talking about JK something companies buying up. Is their plan for, because Arc M is so there was Arc A, Arc B, Arc C around the world. Arc M is the biggest of these private prisons or whatever it is.
This is one of my bigger nitpicks with this issue. I don't like it. This is one where it just feels a bit shoehorned. It's just like, oh, we gotta get it in, but we're gonna be different for the sake of being different. This is the first one where I really feel like you're forcing it a little bit.
I don't know how I feel about the whole it's not Arkham, it's Arkham, right? It just sounds like Arkham. I'm a little bit mixed on that. I am still intrigued though by this non-laughing businessman version of the Joker. Like when they revealed him in issue 1, I was like, oh, that's genuinely interesting. I want to see what they do with that.
Yes, I'm not necessarily against that. I'm not pro that either yet. I'm kind of I'm waiting to be sold.
Because I wonder, does he become, in the way that Batman may become a more recognizable Batman over time, will Joker become a more recognizable Joker? Or is the idea here is that because Batman's working class, his Joker in this world is more of a Lex Luthor in terms that he's this villain with money who's working from the shadows, because that's the opposition to this Batman.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, there's some curious ideas. But the ending did have a lot of weight, so I get the concerns with the Arkham stuff, but I did still really like a lot of what this issue did to like develop and further differentiate it and go, oh no, he's making actively different decisions, which at least for the time being, there could be a time where it's just going to get predictable, where it's always just the opposite of what we expect Batman to do will be done. But so far it's been played with quite smart, where a case is made, he reacts how we expect him to react, but he ultimately gives in and does the other thing.
Yeah.
So intriguing so far.
There's a fine line of if they do it every time just to be different, or
yeah. At least here you can trace it back to a motivation though, which is that his mum is still alive, and therefore she is someone, because he can still lose her, he's willing to do things that he wouldn't in the regular DC universe because he's not lost her yet. Because he can hold on to her by breaking his code, by doing something.
Especially when doing this directly protects her.
Yes. So that is an interesting thing to explore, and it feels like they're exploring something that's a natural knock-on question from still having her around. She's not, like, to the credit of the book, she's not just around to say she's around. It's having an effect on the decisions he's making, and that's proper writing. So, very good. All right, what are you rating Absolute Batman?
So, with the caveat that obviously there's all those positives, I hated the Arkham thing. Just while I liked the flashbacks for Selina, I thought it kind of killed the pacing of the issue a little bit, the way it was interspersed.
Sure.
I'm not sure it was... None of it was bad, but I always felt like I was just like, come on, I want to get back to the main thing. And that did bring it down a bit for me. So I'm probably going to go with a 7, which I'm knocking it down from like a 7.5 or an 8.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me it's still probably an 8. I still was really into a lot what they're doing. I enjoyed the flashbacks. I kind of agreed that at least the naming of the Arkham thing's a bit cute and like, okay, whatever. But I mean, maybe they'll do something interesting. The idea that Joker's behind the building of Arkham is at least, I don't know, I could see them doing something with that.
I feel like, because like it's not an asylum, right, in this place, like, but you could have still called it Arkham. They could have still been like, you know, the Arkham family could have been involved, and that's where you got the name. Like there are ways that you could have done a version of Arkham here that wouldn't have felt as forced, I don't think, for me.
At the very least, though, potentially in the future, I might at least respect, like, thematically, it being an arc and what that represents in fiction usually, and, like, you know, what Joker's motivations are. There could be some at least thematic reasons for it beyond just...
That is to be seen, yeah.
Yeah.